Hi, Kayla.
Hi, guys. Can everybody hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay. Is it snowing at your house?
In Rollinsville, lightly. And your name on your window is Marianne, but we all know who you are.
I'm the tech terrible person.
Hey guys, I just wanted to let you know that I'm going to start this meeting and fill in for Miranda as she's attending a conference right now. But we're hoping that she'll be here to join us within the hour, but we'll see what her schedule allows. So I think we're just waiting on a few more people. And Andrew alerted me to the effect that maybe we're waiting for Barb with the agenda and the packet. Is that correct?
Hello?
Everyone. Okay.
What, Macy?
Yes.
Macy, normally Miranda does the screen for me since I'm taking minutes as well. So do you mind driving? I'll send you the packet right now if
Okay,
you
that
don't
would be,
have it easily.
yes, please, that'd be awesome. And then
Okay.
Um, this is my first time doing it, so if you could have a little patience with me, but I think there's a share button here, and that seems like a good place to start.
Thank you. And
Yeah, of
it's
course.
pretty straightforward tonight, so hopefully that'll make it easier too. Here, I'll send it right
Thank you so much, Kate.
now. Thank you.
And doesn't Miranda usually help Ron get on? Ron Mitchell get on? Oh, he's on. I see him.
Oh,
Ron, are you okay? Good.
yes, anything I need to be aware of, please just let me know. I see Erica on here, which is good because her and I will be giving a little presentation this evening as well.
Okay. And Barb is having trouble getting in, but she thinks it's letting her in now. And Macy, that should have just got to you.
Okay, great. I'll keep an eye out here. Here it is. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen with you all. Can you guys see it?
I see Barb is on there. Barb, are you with us?
She's just connecting, I think.
Okay. I'm just
She just texted me that she just got home and she's trying to connect.
okay. Because yeah, she let me know that. I just am seeing her now as a participant. Well, Andrew, if you don't mind getting started, since she had asked you, we can give her a second to get in, um, if you want,
Yeah.
or we can wait, whatever
Oh,
you feel comfortable with, Andrew.
well, I was just going to give her a second to see if her
Okay.
computer is connecting.
Yeah,
Hello,
because
can
I'm
anybody hear
showing
me?
her now. I'm showing her twice
Hello.
participating. Hi,
Hey,
Ron.
Ron.
You're on.
Okay, so it's the audio that she's having an issue with. So she's
Is she able to join by phone?
Okay.
I can ask.
All right. Well, I think if we're ready to call the meeting to order. Um, do we have a quorum? We do. Let's see. Got Steve joining.
Did we lose? Oh, there's Ron. So we have 1, 2, 3,
You have
4
5.
right now.
Baumhover's here. I'm just.
Oh, okay. I didn't see him. I'm sorry. Thank you. So we have 5.
Jonathan. Okay, Barb's saying she's here. All right.
I'm here, and Catherine's trying to
Oh,
connect
there you are.
and is wondering. Catherine is wondering if she's on the wrong WebEx because she is on a meeting that no one else is on. So can you please send her the link?
Yep.
Can I just confirm that you guys can see the agenda on your screen as well?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Hey, just a quick question. I can't seem to get my video going. It's Erica.
Your video hold on one second. I'm trying to get this to Catherine really quick. Sorry.
Erica, do you see where it says start video at the bottom?
Is that what I just didn't understand your question by the video if you were trying to share your screen?
No, I'm not trying to share my screen. I had a video option earlier and now I don't. It just
Oh,
mute or
okay.
unmute. So
Let
I'm
me see it. But that might be something that Macy will have to do from her end since she's the owner of it. But let me see. I'm sending this to Catherine right now. Okay. So I don't have that either. I'm wondering, because you're right, there should be those 2 clicks.
Erica, maybe if you jump off and try and jump back on, you'll have those options.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
because
try
it's
that.
okay. If you go under audio and video, do you see at the top audio and video?
No.
Across, it's next to it's between view and participant. There should be an option to connect video system.
Ah,
And then also you should see 3 dots next to, there's the mute, the share button at the bottom. The 3-dot button, if you click on that, that's where it says where you can connect to a video system.
brilliant. Okay, I'm trying. Thank you.
All right.
All right.
And it looks like we have Catherine on now. So we definitely have quorum. So let's go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:05 p.m. And Kate, can you take the roll, please?
Yeah, we just lost Ron and he's asking for help. So here, I'll take roll here. Steve Carreau.
Here.
Rhea Ortner.
Here.
Barb Hart.
Here.
Andrew Duart. Sorry.
Here.
And I'll get Ron Mitchell. Okay, I just wanted to see if he had gotten Danielle Krause. Steve Roundtree.
Here.
Catherine Vallon. Jonathan Baumhover.
Here.
All right. Thank you all.
Great, thank you. And let's see. Are there any questions or comments on the consent agenda? If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Yes, Barbara, sorry, I was disconnected for a second. Did you ask if there were any questions on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I missed that, but I did have one question on the approval of the warrants. And I was wondering, I saw ask accounting was listed for financial. And I was wondering, I know that's Mandy's company, and I was wondering if we had switched to have her help with the audit or the budget or anything like that.
Hi, Steve. It's Kate. So that's a great question. So we did have Mandy help us with some last minute data entry as we were doing the audit for town because we wanted to make sure we were getting everything to Rita in a timely manner. And I was swamped with getting all of our projects forward, moving forward. And so I met with Ron and town and Barb, and we decided that that would be the swiftest way to move forward so that we could keep up with town's audit schedule.
Oh, okay, great. No, I'm all in favor of it. And I liked, I know Mandy for a long time, so I liked that she was helping. I just didn't know if it was a shift in our, the way
It
we're
is
moving
not.
forward. Okay, it was sort of a one-time help
It was
out.
a one-off just to help us, just to help us keep up, so that we wouldn't, so that town wouldn't have to wait for us, and that we could keep with their schedule. That was really the intent behind that. Since we had so much other business that was going on at the exact same time. So now, which has been great, working with Rita and everything the last few weeks, this kind of turns into a little bit of a finance update. We've been able to really get the books together, and her and I are very much getting on the same page, and that's been incredibly helpful. And it's been really great to work with Rita the last few weeks with this because she's been able to help me troubleshoot some things in QuickBooks and taught me some tricks. And so it's been really good. And I hope it's given her the peace of mind with us working together that now she kind of knows that, we're on the same page about things. So that's our hope with that.
Okay, great. No, I was mostly just wondering whether it was a change in who we were using for accounting or anything like that, or the way we were doing accounting. But I'm totally fine with it. I was just curious about that.
No, it's a great question. Thank you, Steve.
Sure.
Great, thanks. If no one else has another question, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Great, thank you. And Kate, can you call the roll?
Was that, sorry, just I want to clarify, was that Catherine that I heard?
Yes.
Catherine Vallon?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay, so you've joined us. Thank you. I'm glad. All right. Thank you.
And Kate, can you call the roll?
Yes, sorry. Steve Carreau?
Yes.
Rhea Ortner?
Yes.
Barb Hart?
Yes.
Andrew Duarte?
Yes.
Ron Mitchell? I think we lost Ron again, maybe. Steve Roundtree?
Yes.
Catherine Vallon?
I'm on a
Yes.
conference call with the DDA.
Jonathan Baumhover?
Okay, bye.
Yes.
Thank you all.
Great, thank you. Is there any public comment on non-agenda items this evening?
This is Rick Hendrickson. I have something.
Go ahead, Rick.
Yeah, just want to let everybody know on May 7th, in the morning, we're doing a wildfire awareness event up at the community center, kind of jointly with town. We're going to have a couple local and regional experts there on everything from fire behavior to forestry and some other things they're speaking. We're a little undecided at this point if we're going to do an online version or whether we'll just record it and have that available later. But put that on your calendars is something that hopefully will be worth seeing. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Rick. Does anyone else have any public comment on non-agenda items? Hearing and seeing none, we will move on to the next agenda item. And that is Nederland Green Business.
Thanks, Barbara. So, hello everyone. My name is Erica Thorley. It's great to see many familiar faces. Yes, hi, Andrew. I just wanted to come, first of all, introduce myself and then update you all on the Green Business Program. So this is so I am the new sustainability coordinator for the town. I've been in this role since February 1st, and I'm really excited about this position. As many of you know, this coordinator role has been building in capacity. So that's very exciting. And I really just want to collaborate. So if at any point any of you have things you want to work on or topics you want to bring that involve sustainability in the town, please reach out. I'll put my email in the chat. And there's a lot of things going on. So I'm also going to try to share some updates with Kate and with you all, especially when it relates to businesses in town. But I just really wanted to just introduce myself and make sure that you know that communication's open, and I'll help any way that I can. So as it pertains to the Green Business Program, you all were introduced to this program by Garrett McDaniel a number of months ago. And I wanted to just come and update you. And this is really myself and Macy. So Macy, please jump in at any point. Macy is in charge of really the business aspect for town staff and licensing. So we've been talking about this program for months now, and we've had a few decision points. So the first one I wanted to bring up is that the state is launching a green business program and green business tracker of their own this year. And that's a new thing. We've hemmed and hawed about if we want to stay with the Boulder County Green Business Tracker and their application platform. And we ultimately decided on going with the state. The reason for that is the state is a few less questions, and really the state has built their program with the help of Boulder County. Boulder County's been using the Green Business Tracker program for, I believe, 6 or 7 years. The state's really kind of started to use it at the suggestion of Boulder County. So there's a lot of collaboration there. But we like the idea that when businesses go through the state platform, they'll also be able to get state recognition for their efforts. And could be another really big deal for our local businesses. The challenge with that is that the state's program is pretty new. They're still in a beta testing form. And so we've had a couple hurdles along the way. So things may be changing, but the idea is that we'd love to go with the state program. The big kind of thing to think about with this is the state program is only open until the end of June. So we're hoping to launch May 1st, and we would be able to have businesses apply through this program, this application process, and get state recognition this year until the end of June. We'd like to keep the program open until September 1st. So after that June 30th cutoff, we could still have businesses apply, go through the process, and they would just get local recognition this summer. PACE is ready to help us. Matt Hannon is a great resource, and he's going to really kind of go through this process with us, which is amazing. Because again, the state program is that new. Matt hasn't done that yet himself. So we're planning to do a more informal training on Friday, and then we'll be able to know a bit more about the specific details of the state program at that point. Again, it's quite a few less questions than the Boulder County Green Business Tracker. So if you all have questions about that, please don't hesitate to reach out. But I wanted to just update you that we've decided to go with the state Green Business Tracker option. And then we'll be able to extend it and still have access to those applications, and then just recognize those folks after that June 30th deadline more locally. The plan would be to close it the end of August, September 1st, and then calculate everyone's applications, and then come back and hopefully have a celebration, possibly at the last farmers market in October. Few other things to think about. Many of you represent businesses in town, so we would love to have your participation. So if you are interested, please send me an email. We'll make sure that we can get you involved sooner than later and get you those details, and even get Matt up here to kind of help do some hands-on as well. There's also another program from Boulder County. It was launched a number of months ago, but they're still launching it. But it's called the Climate Climate Active Challenge. Macy, correct me. I know I'm not getting it right. But this is a new program from Boulder County that will help you with the greenhouse gas inventory. And if you participate in this additional program, you'll get extra points on your Green Business Tracker application. So they go well
I can't hear anything. Can anybody hear me?
Hi, Ron.
Somebody
Hi,
wave your
Ron. We
hand
can
if you
hear
can hear
you.
me.
Can you hear us, Ron?
I can't hear you. I'm sorry. I'll keep trying.
You can't. Okay.
So if you all have questions now, please fire away. If you have questions later, please reach out. And if it's helpful, we can definitely continue back to your board as the program develops, and make sure that you all are in the fold and kind of know what the latest is on the program. Ideally, this is something we'll have, from now moving forward, and then it would be open for a certain amount of time so that we can really tally those applications and then move forward for the next season or the next year. Macy, what am I missing?
I'm sorry to interrupt. If somebody would send me the link, I would appreciate it. I'm going to try again. Sorry to interrupt.
No
Hi,
problem.
Ron.
Go ahead, Kate.
It's all right. Since he can't hear us, I've been sending him the link, so I am working with Ron on it, everyone.
I got it. Well, I really don't have much to add after what Erica said. She always does such a great job explaining the Green Business Program. I'm very excited to be getting started on Friday. This has been a long time coming for the both of us. I took this over when Garrett left and was kind of babysitting it until we were lucky enough to have Erica join us. And I've stuck with it and been working with Erica with it. And so to see it finally coming to fruition and to have us starting with a little pilot business on Friday is super exciting. And I really hope that the business community benefits from this, and I hope they see it as beneficial. And so any feedback you guys can provide would be awesome. I'm always here for that. My email is townclerk@nederlandco.org. Always available through there, or if you guys have my phone number, you can reach me there as well.
Thank you.
I had a question, if possible, for either of you about the Green Business Tracker. And I was wondering, Erica, I was a little confused by what you're saying with the state model, that we will, have maybe between May and June to apply and, get some sort of accreditation. But then after June, it wouldn't be available or something until next year, maybe? I didn't understand really what you were explaining.
Steve, absolutely makes sense that it's a little unclear. So the state program is new. It's still in this beta launching phase, but they have a hard close as of the end of June with the state application, so that they have a few months to look at everyone's application, and then they're going to celebrate kind of mid-September for state recognition for those businesses. For us, we feel like a 2-month window is just too short, especially for this first round. And so what we're thinking, and PACE supports this at the Boulder County level, is that we would open it May 1st. So businesses that are really ready and raring to go can apply in that first 2 months, but we're then going to continue it until September 1st. The businesses that apply after June 30th are going to get local recognition within Boulder County, but they won't get state recognition this year. They would get state recognition the following year. And that's a hard cutoff for the state. But Boulder County is willing to go into the state Green Business Tracker and help us tally those applications so we can celebrate everyone locally at the end of this year. Hopefully at the October farmers market, we can have some kind of community celebration. Does that help, Steve?
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
And if you all have feedback on that plan, please let me know. There are probably things we're not thinking about, but we thought it was best to give our businesses an opportunity to be recognized at a state level, but also still give that 4-month or more window so that people have a bit more time, especially summer can be really busy up in Nederland. So giving folks a bit more time to get that application in.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Erica. Does anyone else have questions about the green business plan? Hearing and seeing none. Let's see. Is there any public comment on the green business plan? Also hearing and seeing none. Let's move on to the next item. Thank you so much, Erica, for giving us that information.
Thank you, Erica. Excited your new role.
And the next informational item is the Bobcat Ridge presentation, and I believe that Kayla is here to tell us all about it.
Well, first of all, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. I'd like to thank you all for letting me come before your organization here and give you a mini presentation, I guess. We had requested that information be put in all of your packets, so I hope you all had a chance to look at it. This is a project I've been working on for over 9 years, and you might ask, why is it not taken place before now? And my answer to that is that the county is very hesitant to let anybody do much of anything, as anybody knows that's lived up here. So because our IGA with them has lapsed, even though we have an extension, we're in the position to renegotiate with the county now to see if we can take back the ability to do any kind of annexing or that portion of it, which would be more beneficial to our town than detrimental to the county. So having worked on this for 9 years and listening to people in the community, friends, and just finding places that there are things of need in our community, I keep tweaking the project a little bit here and there. So originally, the number that we started out with has grown because of being eliminated from the CHAFA application that was awarded to Tungsten. They will only award to one project in a community. So we had to come up with an alternate way of financing. So we thought about adding some townhomes that would be sold at market value. Actually, in hindsight, we're actually glad that we didn't get the CHAFA. There's so many restrictions that come along with that also, that we would not be able to give preferential treatment to local people if we did. And that's one of the main goals that this project has always had, is that we're building housing for Nederland people. I'm making a presentation, but I would love to hear if you all have questions, because I think a lot of people are very familiar with the project in the sense that they know that it's out there. They might not know the finite parts of it, but everybody has a different set of comfort level with it. And so if I can ease that in everybody, that would be a great thing to do. So can I put it out there to open it up for questions? Yeah, Rhea.
Water and sanitation, if annexed into the town, I assume.
I can't barely hear you.
I'll talk louder. I
Yep.
assume you'll be hooking up to town water and sewer if you get annexed. Is that the plan for water and sanitation?
Correct. And since when we started this project, Alicia was town administrator at their time, and I made certain at that time that the town capacity could handle this project. With those buildings that have been made up to this point, it has obviously used up some of the capacity. So it's our intention to upgrade those facilities by amortizing the cost of it out individually to all of the people that will be buying some of the townhomes for cost of development and upgrading the sewer treatment facilities.
Right, and I believe just last year, the town voted to increase all of the water tap fees and sewer hookup fees by a lot. So I'm
I
sure
know.
you've looked at that. I'm sure you've looked at that too. And you never know with affordable housing, maybe there can be some negotiations on that. I mean, I think we definitely need more housing, so I'm in favor of the project. I guess I don't think you guys will be in the DDA district. It doesn't seem like you're have any commercial businesses there. So, but having more people around will be more local shopping in town, generating more sales tax for the town. So from a DDA perspective, I do think it's a good thing. And I guess I'm just curious what the next steps are. I mean, do you have to have an agreement with Boulder County before you can submit your annexation application to the town, or?
Well, we've submitted an application to, an application annexation to the town 9 years ago. It's just been on hold. So
Oh, I see.
it may need to be updated apparently from what Miranda has said. And that's fine. We're happy to do the paperwork that's involved. What I'm hoping for is that the process, there are so many steps in the process. And if the town has the ability to do annexation themselves instead of us going through the county, that we're still going to have to go before the planning board. We're still going to have to do all of the things required. It's just that we can then do them instead of being in this crazy sort of limbo. We presented to the county about 6 years ago. They didn't deny and they didn't approve. We just all got up and walked out of the room. And we've been in a limbo situation ever since then. The county was supposed to come back to the town and ask for some qualification on things. And to our knowledge, they never did that. Apparently they did, but it never transferred beyond the town administrator at the time. So there's been some hiccups along the way that Karen has wonderfully tried to mend over. And now Miranda is we're working greatly with her and hoping to continue that momentum on the project. And with now the ability for the town to have the control over annexation as opposed to the county, I would hope that this process starts really moving along, because one of the things you brought up was cost of the water and sewer treatment. When I started this, building costs were approximately $250 a square foot. They're up to anywhere between I've heard 4, 5, 6, depending. And then with the town changing codes, that adds cost for more types of fire retardant, fire suppression. We have to green build up here. We're wanting to make sure there's a very large solar component. So all of those things keep adding to the cost of the development. And that's why we've asked for more numbers in buildings as opposed to when we started out. One of the reasons. So I hope that answers your question.
Yep. Thanks.
Okay. Anybody else?
I also had a little bit of a question. I mean, it sounds like a really attractive project.
Who am I
in
talking
many
to?
ways. But
Is this Catherine?
it is.
Hi, Catherine.
Hello. As you know from, living there for centuries, getting in and out of Eldora Road area can be a little bit of a challenge. And would there be any plan for any kind of access, even if it's just for fire trucks and emergency, to come in from a different direction, maybe to develop something that went over Middle Boulder Creek on land somewhere there to have a back way in and out. So it's not a one way in, one way out only in an area that's already quite congested and difficult for a lot of people a lot of times.
Certainly that is a great concern. We can finally get up in that area and do fire mitigation. And it's our intention to, if you know, when the bus comes, it stops at the Eldora cutoff, goes up to the ski area, comes back around, stops at the high school. And we are proposing just a cutoff, a turnoff at the entrance of the development. So you're not crossing the highway for a bus stop right there, and then to go on and make the next stop again at the highway. That's obviously at the entrance. What you're talking about is doing something at maybe the back end where there's at least some sort of an emergency exit if need be. The property, the topography, I would be more than happy to talk to my neighbors, the Tillotsons. They weren't particularly favorable towards the project to begin with, and I'm hoping they have softened a little bit, seeing the need in their community. And then we've run into a bit of Forest Service property, so I think there's area for conversation, and certainly that would be a great goal to go for.
Kayla, this is Steve Thoreau.
Hi,
I had a
Steve.
question for you. Hi. I was wondering, what have been your 3 biggest hurdles or roadblocks that you've encountered on this project over the last 9 years? Like, what are the major hurdles that you need to overcome in order to move forward?
Annexation.
Okay. There's nothing else.
It's only 17 acres, and as you know, outside of unincorporated Boulder County, the minimum you have to have is 35 to build anything. So in
Right.
order to do what we're talking about, the property needs to be annexed to the town. So annexation is the biggest hurdle, and then because of annexation, that's been dealing with Boulder County.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
in a nutshell.
And what about with the town then, for the annexation process, or is that, I assume, joint between Boulder County and the town, that decision?
It's
Would have been in the past if the town, in their renegotiating of their IGA, puts language in there that the town will be responsible for making those decisions themselves. That's the answer.
Okay.
And I think right now, Eric and Julian have been, Chris and Karen had been initially working with the county, but then they delegated Eric and Julian to that responsibility. And I know Julian is leaving, but Eric he's working on it and he's getting very close. And I think that's a major goal. So in conversation I've had, that's one of the things. I'm not the only person that wants to annex property to the town. So
Right.
to add language to the town's IGA with Boulder County, this isn't just for me, just for Bobcat Ridge. I think there should be language in our town business that allows that to happen. In the 9 years that I've been working on this project, every single municipality, with the exception of Ward and Nederland, have either opted out of their IGAs because they were so restrictive, or added language to them to allow each municipality to annex properties. And most of them have done so and built a lot of projects for affordable housing. And we are the only ones that have been unable to do that. So
Okay. Thanks, Kayla. I appreciate it.
you bet. Thanks, Steve.
Great, thank you. Let's maybe go around the circle real quick and see if anyone else has questions. Andrew.
Well, just a couple, it sounds like needing some fires lit to have, Nederland go and really be an advocate for annexation is one thing. And I guess another question, how many units total is it, just out of curiosity, right now being proposed as?
Right now, we are looking at 70. 35 would be affordable, and 35 would be fair market sold to finance the 35 to make sure that they are built with no governmental money that would put restrictions on who can rent,
Okay.
as far as the way Boulder County does it.
Yeah, okay. So 35 and 35, that's
So
great.
70.
I like the project, I think it's good. I think getting some advocates to try to rattle Boulder County's chains and talk through, like you said, adding language to Town of Ned regarding annexation sounds like the right next steps. But that's all I've got.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, Andrew. And do we have Ron back on? Is he the call-in user?
Yes.
Ron, do you have any questions or comments?
Ron, just hit *6 to talk.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I was one of probably 60 people who went down and spoke for Kayla 3 or 4 years ago when the county was considering this. I was highly in support then, and I still am. So anything I can do to help, I'd be happy to. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Great, thank you. And I believe Danielle is not on this evening. Steve Roundtree.
Yeah, I mean, I think any solutions for housing is a major positive for any business. So I know at Eldora, one of our biggest challenges with getting people as employees is a lack of options for where they can live. So any movement, I think I support it. So and good luck.
Thank you, Steve. I've had multiple conversations with a lot of people up at Eldora, and I know how difficult it is. Brent and I've had conversations about the fact that there's about 600 employees at Eldora, and there's maybe 100 of them that live in the area. So that's not a particularly sustainable percentage when you talk about people coming in and out of the community every day, twice a day. And to find housing up here, there was a thing on Facebook just tonight when I was thumbing through. Did anybody have a place to rent? I would rent a sofa or a shed in somebody's yard. Let me know. We have to take better care of our residents than making them live in a shed out and back and on a sofa. So thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Steve. And let's see, Catherine, did you have any additional comments or questions?
No, it sounds like an attractive project, and I hope we can get it through, and that, if there's anything that we can do to lend support, it seems like something. I'm sitting there saying, like, gosh, so it's 17 acres and somebody else has maybe another 18 or whatever acres. Can it be a combined proposal so it gets to the 35 just to get past the rules or whatever?
Well, no,
But,
you know where this
anyhow.
is. I mean, for those of you who don't, if you take the Eldora cutoff and you come around that last bend, the boundaries are: to the north is the highway, to the east is the town limits of Nederland, to the west is the high school, and to the south is Forest Service. You don't really see too much of the property because it doglegs. You go in and then it doglegs off to the right, which will be nice for light pollution, visual enhancement of not looking like we're just coming in and bastardizing the property. And there's a nice berm as you're driving from Eldora to give it a windbreak and to, nothing breaks the wind up here, and to, again, visually make it as appealing as possible for the least disturbance. So.
Great, thank you. And Jonathan.
I don't have very many questions, pretty familiar with the project and have watched it evolve over the years to continually attempt to meet the needs of this town. From what I've seen, what Kayla is up against is the ability of this town to kind of finally cut loose from Boulder County when it comes to the IGA, and partially to relook at our comprehensive plan and what has changed in the past 10 years, particularly the drastic increase in the cost of housing, housing affordability, and the inability of wage workers, clerks, and generally a lot of the folks who keep the town running, the folks that are in your local businesses and work day in and day out and actually live and work in Nederland, kind of getting priced out by folks moving in either as secondary homes, retirement homes, or just in general folks that would rather live in Ned and drive the canyon every day than live in Boulder, even though Boulder is really where they do their shopping and contribute a lot of their finances back into the economy. So I think I admire this project that Kayla has. Still believe we have an uphill battle to go as a BOT in actually coming to a IGA that really gives us the power to do this. I believe that there's also going to be an uphill battle, if annexed, of folks being unhappy with the density asks of this. So that is one thing I have a question for you, Kayla. With that 17 acres and about 70 houses, what are we looking at per acre of housing if you were asked to break it down that way? I know that we're looking at multi-family, more apartment buildings.
Right, we're looking at two buildings that are connected. The apartment buildings, which would be 2-story. You won't see it. We're also proposing an addition to or an enlargement of the daycare center that we so drastically need in this community right there. That's the first building as you look at the drawing. And then a series of 3 units together in a town housing groups. The density is really not that bad. I mean, there's a lot of acreage there. We are also donating 5 acres of the 17 to the town of Nederland that can be used for whatever the town wants to do with it, whether you want to put a solar farm up there or whether you want to put, the community swimming pool or whatever the town wants to do to be able to build on that. So the density, we're making sure there's enough open space for elk migration that comes through there. That's been a real hot button for everybody. And certainly I am very sensitive to that issue because we have put the rest of our whole ranch into the nature conservant or the Colorado open lands. We don't want it to be developed. We are hoping to, as a family, leave it open for the animals to have a refuge and a place to go. So this particular development is just a cross through. As they're coming up from Magnolia, they walk through there and then they go to the rest of the ranch, which is where the grass and the willows and the lakes and their protection is. So density, that would be a great question as far as Henry Zerberg is my builder from Symmetry Building. It's been important to me to make sure that the people in my group that are working with me are locals, that are invested in this community and care about it, not just to come in and not know the flavor of our community when we're trying to build something that is for the people in this town. So I would ask Jonathan, I don't know exactly what the density per acre is on that, but
Yeah, I mostly just mention it because in the proposal, I would notice if it were to annex into town, it would have to annex in under a certain zoning district. We have, our mountain residential, we have our high density, medium density, low density, then we have our central business district, and then we have our general commercial. These are all under different requirements that have undergone
right. And I
years
think
and
it would
years.
be, I think we've talked about mountain residential being the one that would be most appropriate, but I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know. And that again
So
is part of the process.
it would
It's part
be.
of the
So
process.
those would just be like my questions of have you looked at that? And from a perspective I have right now, mountain residential wouldn't even allow multifamily apartment buildings. That's only currently allowed in our central business. And I think we would have to basically amend further zoning laws beyond annexing in. We'd have to change certain zoning as well and change how we look at zoning in our town. And it's a little bit of a battle. So, but I'll let you go. And that's my only comment is it's not only an uphill battle against annexation, and I'm in support of this, it's an uphill battle against readdressing how we zone and how we develop. And it's something that all mountain communities are doing right now. So in full support, and I agree with you, we're the only ones that haven't taken back control. So.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Great, thank you, Jonathan. I think we've gone all the way around the circle, but if there's anyone else that has a question or comment from the board, now would be the time to share that. Hearing and
I'm
seeing.
more than willing to meet with anybody anytime to go into much further depth, explaining the possibilities that this project has for alleviating problems in our community. And I'm open to any conversation anytime. So thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it. And I think the best thing we can all do is just keep the conversation going.
Great, thank you, Kayla.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. I'm going to check out.
Was there any
Okay.
public comment? I don't see anybody from the.
Nope.
Nope.
Okay, good night, everybody, and thank you for what you do.
Great, thank you. That takes us to our next item, which is Advisory Board and Commission annual vacancies, and this will be Macy or Miranda.
So I don't think Miranda's been able to join us yet. I believe she'll be able to join us closer to 7, so she's almost on. So I will take on this since Macy's driving for us here. As you're aware, Steve and Rhea's terms on, or may not be aware, on the NDDA board will end in June 2022. Rhea has decided to not seek reappointment at this time, and you can see her note to us letting us know that she is not seeking reappointment. And attached is the vacancy notice and all the vacancies that will be coming up in June. And so the applications will be due Wednesday, May 25th. And interested parties should complete an application and return it to Macy. And applications can be submitted via email to townclerk@nederlandco.org or in person at Town Hall or through the mail. If anybody has any questions or if Rhea would like to say anything, please feel free.
I don't really have anything to say, except that I'm happy to continue helping out on beautification and public art, even when I step down from the DDA, if people need me. Just feeling a little bit overwhelmed in my life, and it's time to pass the baton to somebody with more time and energy than I do.
Well, we appreciate all that you've done, Rhea, and we appreciate you sticking around to help on those committees that you have been essential on. So thank you.
Great, thank you. And can you clarify real quickly, Kate? It ends in June, but we actually meet the possible candidates in June, and then
Yes.
and then we vote, and then the BOT votes, and then it comes back to us in July. So
July.
does Rhea still attend July, or how does that work? Because I don't remember from
So
last
I
year.
think in the past, or sorry,
Go ahead.
I didn't know if anybody else was talking. I think in the past, that person kind of had the choice. They could attend, or if they couldn't, that was all right. But I'm trying to remember. Brent couldn't do the July meeting last year. I was trying to remember how it worked last year, and so that was the only reason that he didn't come to both. Oh, Miranda is on now.
Yay.
Hi, Miranda. I'm just talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm here. Hello.
Hi, I'm talking about the advisory board and commission question, and Barb just raised a really good point about how it works. In June is when we consider the application, and then they get sent to the BOT at their June meeting, and then July is when the full board meets. And Barb's question was, does Rhea come, who's leaving, does she come to June and July's meeting, or how does that work?
It would just be June. And
Okay.
then starting in July, as soon as that new person is appointed, they would then take the place of Rhea.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Ah.
Great, thank you.
Kate or Barb, this is Steve Carra. I just wanted to chime in for what it's worth. I haven't decided yet whether I would re-up for another 4 years, but my plan at this point is to continue on. But I'll let everyone know before long if that changes. So I
Thank
think
you,
we may
Steve.
only have Rhea's position to fill, but I haven't like made a final choice. But I feel like there's so much going on, and I love the wayfinding and really want to see that through. So I do feel like I'll probably continue for another 4 years.
And I just want to do another
well,
point of
if I'm allowed, I need to reapply. I understand.
Yes.
Yeah. And the way, I mean, every board and commission is a little different. And so I know the DDA, you would like to meet with whoever the applicants are to give a recommendation. So the plan would be for those applicants to come before you in June, and then their appointment would be considered by the board of trustees that second meeting in June. So we may end up staggering all these out because every board handles it a little differently, but that would be the plan for the DDA.
Great, thank you. So we advertise it as 2 board positions, is that correct?
Yes, and so, but as you see here, because there are all these renewals or the annual terminations, we just listed them here. So yes, there are technically 2 positions. If Steve wants to reapply, that would be great. And then we'll be looking for other people to apply for Rhea's slot.
Okay, great, thank you. Does anyone else have questions or comments on the advisory board and commission vacancies?
Yes, I do. The candidate would have to be a property owner because the statute says that the majority of the board has to be property owners, and Rhea is a property owner in the district.
Miranda, can you answer that? Because we tackled that the last time we had an opening.
Yes, and I'm gonna have to go back and find my notes. I don't.
I believe that where we landed is that wasn't necessarily the case, and I think our attorney even felt similarly, but I'll confirm with my notes as well, and we'll make sure that as we advertise that is made clear, whether that is something, but I do believe that I even reached out to our attorney and he didn't read it that way, but we can clarify that.
Great, thanks, Kate. That's what I recall too. So yeah, that would be really good to have before we announce the openings. Does anyone else have questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none, let's move on to our next item, which is the chair report. Sorry, I have to get my piece of paper here. I just want to read mine really quickly. I don't think that Larry is on tonight, unfortunately, but I just wanted to, most of mine is in there. I want to mention that I'd like to see a proposed budget for 2023 in the next few months so that we can discuss the idea of having Kate as a full-time employee and figure out this into our next budget. Because of the amount of work we have coming up, we need a full-time project manager, and Kate is well overqualified to take on more work for the DDA if we can come up with the funding to make it so. I did meet with businesses that wanted to know more about the DDA and what we do. I've also been talking to business owners about the upcoming vacant seat to gauge interest of the business owners in joining us, whether they're property owners or business owners. And I'll continue doing that until the application period closes. And I hope everybody on the DDA will do the same and encourage people to join us and turn in an application in May. I would also like to share my recognition of Larry Johns, even though he's not on here, for his 20 years of service to the Nederland community. Larry will retire in May, and he joined the Nederland Police Department on April 29th of 2002. He served twice as our interim marshal and accepted the position of town marshal in 2017 with a swearing-in ceremony on December 19th, 2017. He has been a confident leader, taken our town through fires, floods, bombings, and more. He will be greatly missed by the residents and business owners. Thank you, Larry, for your service to our community. That's it. And the next one would be the, sorry, turn my paper back here. Treasurer's report, please. Ron, do you have anything to add or want to mention anything with your report?
Yes, I do. Sorry, I had a little trouble getting on because I'm using both the computer and the phone. We now have an inordinate amount of money in the bank drawing no interest. I think we should consider buying another certificate of deposit for about $500,000 and put it on the agenda for the next meeting and also use it for expanding our line of credit. Nothing more than that, and what is in the packet.
Great, thank you, Ron. And Kate with the executive director report.
Thanks so much. Most of it's in the report there, but this month I met with Public Art and Beautification, and you'll hear updates on where those projects are coming up. And also spending a lot of time, again, just like I had spoke earlier with responding to Steve's question on the audit, preparing for the Town of Nederland's audit and going through our audit with the Town of Nederland. And it's been great to be working with Rita and to get our books in a good place. And so hopefully I'm feeling good about it right now. And so it's just been busy, but it's been great lifting all these projects and seeing everybody's progress.
Great, thank you, Kate. And we have a town staff report with Miranda.
Yeah, I mean, my report's in the packet and I don't necessarily have much to add. Maybe I'll just jump in off of what you said, Barb. Did get 2 invites for Larry's party because of a slight typo, but we would love if you could come to Larry's farewell party, which will be on Friday, May 6th, starting at 6 o'clock. And I think that's probably the biggest thing outside of what's not in my report here. We do have, I did prepare my report obviously before the election. So the election did occur. We will certify the results this Friday. As it stands though, currently Julian Taylor is going to be appointed as mayor. And then the winners of the election for trustee were Tom Mahold, Karen Blakemore, and Tanya Corvalin. So even though we accepted signature verifications up until 5 o'clock today, there was only 1. And so that won't change the outcome of that vote. But we will certify those results on Friday.
Great, thank you, Miranda. And let's hop through any committee reports, any beautification committee reports.
We had 2 applicants for Gardner, and we're in the process of interviewing them. And I guess, let's see, I don't believe, hopefully we'll be making a decision, I'm hoping, next week. I don't believe the DDA has to, do they have to officially approve our selection? Kate, do you know who we hire?
That was not asked of you before, but we could certainly, did somebody want to talk? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought somebody was trying to say something. That was not requested of you, but that's certainly something we can do.
I mean, unless someone, board member, strongly feels that way, I would prefer to keep it simple and just hope you all trust in the decision between Ron, I, and Kate to hire somebody good. But feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the beautification report? Hearing and seeing none. Do we have an update on Big Springs Committee?
I wish. I've had tried to, I think both Ron and I and Nathan have been trying to reach Tebow, and I know I've tried at least 3 or 4 times over the last week and a half to get status updates, and I've not even gotten a return phone call from George, who is kind of the leading, or at least the one interfacing with me last. So kind of disappointed that nothing's been going on the Tebow end at this point, because as it stands, we're kind of the town contractor. We're probably going to lose them and have to delay the project because everything, the project is predicated on Tebow getting concrete foundation and footing in for his retaining wall before any drainage work can be done. So unfortunately, I have not. Ron may have. I know Ron's been calling Tebow as well. Ron, have you heard any? Did you ever get a hold of Tebow in all the times you've tried to call him over the last couple weeks?
I tried today and was unavailable. I've tried 4 or 5 times in the last 2 weeks. So this project is going nowhere at an accelerated rate. So we are, in my opinion, to echo Andrew, probably going to have to delay it, which is unfortunate. So nevertheless, it's better to delay it than to have errors made where corrections would be incredibly expensive. Go ahead, Andrew.
No, I mean, that's, I guess update as, and we've got the potential that we'll have to put it back out to bid, because if the contractor, is good, his pricing would be good for 2 months, but we're kind of approaching that. I don't know exactly when that date is, but we're certainly coming up on it. And so, if I'll continue to reach out to Tebow. Steve Carell, I don't know if have you had any communication with the Tebow clan in the last couple of weeks, few weeks?
The only thing is through Tebow's lawyer and my lawyer on the agreement that we would have for that shared driveway access. We've hammered that out, and I think we're at the point where we're pretty much ready to sign something. So I haven't had any direct contact with Stephen, but through his lawyer, my lawyer, and me being CC'd, I've seen that I just said, let's just work it out between the lawyers and figure something out and we'll sign it. So I know that's happened, but I did have a question for either of you, Andrew or Ron, if you know anything about what's happened with that part, with his parking lot, because I know
I mean,
Heath hasn't been over there for like a couple months.
yeah, I think it looks like they got, they have a track pad in there for site work. They put a big grease trap in and did, some sewer line work. And
Mhm.
it looked like the excavator, Heath being the excavator, it looked like it was probably ready for a concrete contractor. My suspicion is that Stephen Tebow has been unable to secure a concrete contractor to do the footing for his retaining wall, and therefore, like, he can't really dig, because if he dug a big trench, there'd be no sub to. This is just a total guess. I don't
Okay.
know this for
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
but if I had to guess, I would say that he has been unable to find a concrete contractor, and because I know as of maybe a month ago, I was still getting asked by George, hey, do you know any? And unfortunately, most of the concrete contractors that I know either were too busy or don't, wouldn't, aren't willing to be a part of that project for one reason or another. So,
Okay.
that's all I know right now.
Okay. Well, I'll let you guys know if I see Heath back on the job. I'll give you a call. And Andrew,
Yeah,
you'd see
yeah.
him too
I
from
think,
your window.
yeah, I think I can kind of see that they probably got it as far as they thought they could get it without having concrete guys ready to go. That's
Yeah,
just my
kind of looks
guess.
like that. Yeah, because they even had it surveyed. It looked for the footings out there by the road.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. I was just wondering.
yeah. So we'll keep trying to get a hold of them, but I guess high hopes, low expectations, and it'll probably get delayed and probably need to put it back out to bid, and we may not even be able to find another contractor to do it, or the price may go up. I mean, those are all potentials. So that's what we know now.
The
And
hope, though, is
unfortunately,
that they'll be able to move forward. But you're laying out, this is Kate, you're laying out all the possibilities for the board, and I
yeah,
appreciate that. But I know that Nathan is working, you all are working diligently to get some answers from Tebow about what the status of his project is. Because as you alluded, and I just want to make sure that if anybody's listening, they understand, that our project needs their project to so that we can move forward without having to make extra costs or deal with extra items. That's why it's set up this way. And so I just kind of wanted to kind of put a little synopsis in there and put a bow on that. But we actually have been reaching out to Tebow for another issue with public art, and we recently heard back from him, and I'm preparing a response. And so I'm planning on asking about Big Springs in our response as well, so that we're all
hey,
trying
yeah,
to get some
please,
information.
yeah, yeah. Any angles that you can reach them on to get answers would be great.
I think for the last couple of weeks, he might have been hearing from people in Nederland quite a lot on different items, but I'm really happy with the progress and how everyone is really trying to stay on top of these projects.
The problem is simple. We cannot begin our project until Tebow has put in at least the foundation for his wall, because there'd be structural problems if we tried to do it before he put in his foundation. So that's where the project status is as far as we're concerned.
Thanks, Ron.
Yeah, thanks, Ron. If I can talk for just a second, because I was the one reaching out to him as well for public art, and he did respond on Monday, twice. He was up here Frozen Dega days. He did check things out, so he was aware of what was going on with the Black Forest parking lot. As well, maybe he was gone for the last week, but he is normally very responsive to email and phone calls, so maybe there's something else going on. But I would offer to be a liaison to him, as I worked for him for over 3 years, and he does seem to respond to me very well. And maybe there are so many emails and calls going around that it would be better to just have Kate and I, or Kate, approaching him with all of the questions instead of so many people reaching out to him. So it might be a way to look at it if we can put together one email that includes exactly what we're asking for multiple projects. That might be a better way to reach him.
And that's what I was just thinking, that's since I'm still just waiting on one item before I can send the public art response, that I'll absolutely just put it in there, and we'll give him a couple of days, because I totally understand and appreciate what you're saying, Barb, but given the time frame about Big Springs, that's why I don't want to necessarily not keep contacting, because these are two big projects for us that could be potentially the timelines really be thrown off, and that affects our conversation with the BOT for our budget. Bottom line, if and Big Springs, as we know from the discussion before, if we come back and ask to carry over funds, I better have a lot to say about why that's happening. And so, a lot of things are out of our control, but I just want to kind of talk about the big picture too, as we say that. So I would like to be the point person, but I'm so hesitant to say, we only talk as one right now, just because, yeah, like I've said. So I do want us to put it in that email, and hopefully we'll get some traction that way. But yeah, that's just my take on that, for whatever it's worth.
Great, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments on Big Springs? Hearing and seeing none. Do we have any updates on the committee?
No updates.
Great, thank you. And for Communications Committee, I think we have set a deadline to be working on the website again in June. Is that correct, Kate?
Yep, to have things going live by then. Yeah, we'll be working on it again in May. Just as I'm finishing up the audit stuff with Rita, I'll swing back more into the web page mode. But yeah, to be going live with Spafford in June is my goal with the new website.
Great, thank you. And any updates on performance space?
I've been emailing with Tanya. Sorry, am I muted?
Nope, we can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay. I've been emailing with Tanya Corvalin, and Nikki, and I guess Chris Perez is having email issues, but as of last week, we were trying to get a couple of times on the board where the interested members so far, which seems like Nikki, Chris Perez, Tanya, and myself, and to try to get a meeting that then we can see who else is interested, to start getting something pulled together for the performance space. So that's kind of coalescing and coming together. And now that Frozen Dead Guy Days is over, and spring is in the air, trying to get a time on the board. So that's the only update I've got on the performance space committee.
Great, thank you, Andrew. And Public Art Committee.
I'll just say that our request for qualifications from artists for the 2 mural locations is live. It ends at the end of April. You go to tinyurl.com and type in Ned Mural 2022. You will see the application process. So hopefully that is getting advertised far and wide. When I checked 2 days ago, there was 1 applicant already, and I know there's another person who's interested in resubmitting as well. So crossing fingers, we'll have a lot of artists to choose from, and that everything will work out well with both the existing, the what we call the Poe Wall, which is the last name of the folks who own the building there by the barbecue place, as well as Tebow, which is the wall on the west facing side of the health clinic. There's been some activity on that. We just want to make sure that the building owners are completely on board so we can hire the artists and get some more murals. And I don't have an update on Greg's mural, unfortunately, but Danielle would, she's been more of the liaison with Greg. His mural is still in Wild Bear, but hopefully we'll get that up this spring. I don't know if Kate has any more information on that.
I don't know exact timing. I know that Wild Bear will need to use that space for their programming sooner than later. And so at that time, there will probably be a natural transition. But what that date is, I know that Danielle was meeting with Wild Bear to discuss that. So that would kind of give us the date. But I don't know that that's been nailed down just yet.
Right.
A question,
Oh,
Rick.
and also Carrie Evans, she's not a member of the. Go ahead, Ron.
Has Tebow given permission to use that wall west of the clinic? Can you hear
I
me?
think Kate's a better person. Kate is a better person to answer that.
So
or Barb.
Yeah. We don't have a signed contract with Tebow at this time. As he has given permission, but we don't have a contract.
And that's what he has some questions, and there's just been some back and forth, and all of his questions we have answers to, and so he would like to be involved in the jurying, and that's one of the biggest questions. I think that was always an issue that he wanted to make sure that there was some part of, but we have received a contract back from his attorney with comments on our agreement, so we just are trying to err on the side of caution because we do have the RFQ out for artists, and we want to be respectful of that and make sure that we're telling them the right space to be designing for and be thinking of. And so that's where we're just trying to be super careful. But there's been conversations with Tebow for probably the last 6 or 7 months on this, so it's by no means a whim. So that's why it's just coming down to the end.
So there is no contract, but questions regarding it from him.
Yeah, we're going back and forth between the agreement.
Okay,
basically.
thank you.
Yeah, so it's not signed, but our hope is that, and that's what part of the reason we've been trying to get some clarification and make sure that he was still on board with it as proposed. And so that's what we're getting him some clarifying points on, so that hopefully then, we'll be through that part of negotiating the agreement. Does that help, Ron?
Okay, yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay.
And I just wanted to make one more comment. A member of our Nederland Public Art Subcommittee, Carrie Evans, is going to be meeting with Ben Goldsmith. They're with teens and head of the Mountain Coalition for Youth, Nederland Youth Board, and a group of excited youth about integrating art into downtown. And I believe Steve Carew, you're going to be meeting them as well on Friday at 10 o'clock to see how we can incorporate the youth and maybe art and wayfinding and all these things together. So Carrie will be at that meeting, and she's interfaced with that group before. So that's an exciting new development.
Yeah. And Ray, I just wanted to clarify, it's going to be inside meeting, and I'm still trying not to meet people I don't know in groups indoors. So I talked with Claudia, and she was totally willing to meet with the youth board. I feel bad because I would love to meet with them, but I just don't feel really comfortable sitting indoors in spaces.
Okay, well, I won't be there, so just let in the group email, just respond, or if you have already.
Yeah, so Claudia's going to meet with them, and we'll talk about wayfinding with the youth group, which I think is awesome.
Okay, great, thanks. And that's all we have.
Great, thank you. And Steve, do you have any wayfinding committee updates?
Yes, I do, and I apologize I didn't get anything to be put in the packet. But I think we were waiting for this questionnaire and the responses from the questionnaire that's coming up next in our meeting tonight. And so I'd like to have a meeting with our committee with Steve Roundtree and Claudia and me soon, probably in the next week or two, to review that. And we really wanted to make sure that what we think is good for the town, that majority of the businesses and people who responded also feel is good for it. So what I plan is we'd have a meeting to discuss the questionnaire and look at the results and all, which we're also going to do a bit as a main board today. And planning to and hoping to bring this back as a action item, preferably if we can talk to people ahead of the meeting, or if Barb thinks it's better as discussion item, I wanted to bring back to the board for continuing this process forward with the phase 2 of just moving the project forward. So I guess that's a very short update. And if anyone has questions, I'm happy to discuss it.
Great. Does anyone have questions or comments? Hearing and seeing none. Yeah, Steve, I think we'd love to see it back at the next meeting if you can bring something to us in May. Let's see.
Great. Yeah, our committee will get together and we'll work on that to present it in good time.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
And Steve, I'm starting next Thursday. I'm super flexible and around much more. So good time of year.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, I was thinking of you, Steve, and hoping you're doing okay up there.
Great, thank you. And that brings us through our informational items into the discussion item, the parking in the central business district. And is that going to be Miranda?
Yep. So I'd already emailed you the survey results for the parking in the central business district. So hopefully you had a chance to look at that. Great turnout. We had 122 citizen surveys completed and 61 business surveys. Also, all the advisory boards and commissions gave their respective feedback, and that's in the aim here. What we kind of did from all the feedback received is we really tried to distill it down so that different boards and commissions had tasks that they could focus on. And so we really felt like maybe the DDA, when it comes to parking, could support us in the following ways. Obviously, wayfinding, which is kind of full steam ahead. Work with us to maybe put information about parking locations on the town website. Talk with businesses about where they're currently having employees park and are there ways in which we can adjust strategies that they're using, especially if they're using like centrally located parking spaces, and do some business outreach. And then also just, some comments came up in the survey about creating a walkable First Street. So tonight I'm just looking to have kind of an informal conversation of after reviewing the survey, what ways do you think the NDDA could support? And are there certain things you want to explore more? Maybe in an extension of a subcommittee, we could kind of tackle this, but I'm just looking for your initial feedback when looking at the results.
Great, thanks, Miranda. Let's go around the circle real quick and see if anyone has any additional questions or comments. Let's start with Rhea.
Put me on the spot first, I see.
Sorry, you're first on my list today.
Well, I think the parking survey clearly shows there's a lack of parking in downtown associated with several different things. We have limited land for more parking. I think that, and I don't think the DDA should do this, but I think that the town parking code, in terms of what's required when a new business goes in or what's required for parking, be relooked at, because maybe we don't need a ton of off-street parking for businesses in the CBD, the commercial business district. Maybe that should be more space for businesses generating tax revenue for the town, sales tax and property tax revenue that goes into our TIF funds. So that's kind of the one thing that kind of really struck me. So that's only my comment so far.
So, and when it comes to the parking code itself, that's a chapter 16, there is a planning commission subcommittee that is working on that. And one of the things they'll be doing is evaluating how parking requirements are calculated in the central business district. And they may actually look further out into like neighborhood commercial and general commercial. So that's happening, and it'll probably take them a couple weeks to pull together an initial recommendation, and that will become before the DDA for your feedback once they're ready. So there is kind of full steam ahead on the lease parking code changes.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I thought I read that. Great.
Okay, thanks, Miranda and Rhea. And Andrew, do you have any questions or comments?
No, just reading some of the comments. I don't have a whole lot to add. So.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
And Ron.
I think the fact that the survey had the rating system just the opposite of every other survey I've ever participated in made it confusing. And so I think some of your answers and may have actually been rated the wrong way. Mine certainly will, because I didn't take a really good look at it. I should have. But the highest rating was on the left and the lowest on the right. And normally the lowest is on the left and the highest on the right. So I agree that the parking needs to be looked at, and I very much want to be involved in it. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Ron. And Steve Roundtree.
It's kind of interesting. The first day that the results came out, I went through them, and I was optimistic for a very short amount of time when I delved into the comments. So I do think, I don't know, I feel like this is it's a problem in a lot of places in the Front Range, across Colorado. It's like just sheer number of parking spaces available when they're needed, and there isn't a simple fix. I think there's a lot of the comments, they're looking at viable solutions, but it's well, RTD should build a parking garage, and it's a lot of like directing to there's a problem and somebody else should solve it. And I think that's tough, because I think it points out there isn't an easy solution, right? There's not just hundreds of parking spaces that can be created close to town. And, I don't know, like signage helps, but just sheer volume of parking spaces at those peak times is really what's needed, so that there can be a sign with the blue P on it that directs someone to an available spot. If we have signs that lead to no spaces, that doesn't really solve, So that's kind of where I was at from looking through it.
Thanks, Steve. And Catherine.
I kind of agree with a lot of Steve's comments there. I mean, a lot of times when looking at both the results and when kind of just chatting with people about this, a lot of people say, well, why can't we build a parking deck where the RTD parking lot is? And I don't think they realize that like RTD would have to take that on. I don't know how often they partner with, towns over their needs for something like that. Obviously they don't want to build a parking deck for someone else's use so much. No simple solutions, but I think everybody who's got a business in town knows that it's difficult to make sure that you have parking when your customers, clients, or whoever need it.
Great, thanks, Catherine. And Jonathan.
No comments. I think most of it's in there in one form or another. I'm still struggling to try to figure out exactly how to use this information, but it's obvious parking's an issue. Planning Commission, BOT are aware of it and continuing to work on it.
Great, thanks, Jonathan. And Steve Carreau.
Yes, thanks. I'm very interested in this because I think it plays into and works with wayfinding extremely closely. And so I did go through it with a pretty fine-tooth comb with the responses and the percents of agreeing and disagreeing to various questions. But I won't go through that more. Like in our committee on wayfinding, we'll really dive into this, I think, more to see what the businesses and the people are saying. But I just wanted to point out a few things that I noticed. There was a parking study done, I think it was 2010, the Walker Group, and they, and that's 10 years ago or 12 years ago. So it is a long time ago, and the town has grown a lot. But at that time, they really determined that there were enough parking spaces. It was just a matter of getting people into them. But I thought it was interesting that it was really overwhelming that the citizen survey said that there's not sufficient parking. So I think that, that points to that there is a problem and there's a perception of a problem, whether it's real or not. And I think wayfinding could help us with this. There was a question, that whether parking is organized and clearly marked. And I think on the citizen survey, 80% were either neutral or disagreed with that. And looking at the business side, I think it was 93% either were neutral or disagreed that there's parking's organized and clearly marked. So I think that points to the fact that we should probably be able to help things a fair amount with signage and directing people to the open spaces that there are around town. Whether they're super convenient or not is a different matter. And let's see. I thought there was a question where, I support metered parking in the central business district. And I thought it was interesting reading the comments, just the level of misunderstanding there is about metered parking in town, where so many of them, were thinking that it's all about revenue. And there were, obviously a lot of negative comments like this is a grab for money by town and whatever. But I believe that the real use, if we did ever go to metered parking, the real use of that is to just increase turnover. It's not about the revenue or whatever. Whoever's doing it has to also pay to enforce it. But anyway, it just seemed like there was a lot of misunderstanding among the groups, and that's something that we'll have to address no matter what we're doing. And let's see, there was one other here. One of the telling ones too is it said there was a question, I want town to focus resources on parking with clear marking and signage. And this is the business group, I believe I noted was 75% were either very strongly agreed or agreed with that, and only 9% disagreed. So I do feel like this showed me on a high level that, that wayfinding, that the businesses and the people would be in support of the type of wayfinding that we're envisioning, where we're locating the lots and IDing the lots and putting up the minimal signage to get people to the lots. And I think Steve Roundtree brought up the point that, if we're directing people to lots that are full, that's not going to be a great solution. And I feel like that's probably the way we're going to do it, because we're not going to have a live system, where it points you to the right lot that has a few spaces at a moment. But I think it'll be way better than not having lots identified and signage directing people to them. So I was kind of heartened by this in the sense that the strong answers that I noted were kind of things that I think wayfinding could help with. And our committee, in the next week or two, will look at this closer and we'll see if that really feels true, and we'll crunch this data a little more. But I just wanted to point out some of those things, and I do feel like I'm reading it anyway, that a lot of these results point to the fact that wayfinding could help our town in terms of getting people to park instead of leaving town, and then ideally to spend money, by directing them to the goods and services that they might be looking for. So I guess that was my kind of takeaway from it all.
Great, thanks, Steve. I do think wayfinding could help a lot with parking as well. So that's my one comment on it. I think we're all anxious to move forward now that we sort of have a direction and hopefully can interpret this information further.
Thanks.
Yeah. So let's see, that wraps up all of our.
So Barb, can I just ask really quick though, does the DDA want to take any, aside from wayfinding, any more of an active role in evaluating, continuing to look at ways to address, or do you want to just focus on wayfinding and us bring back parking code information? I'm just curious if you want to take like any action.
I mean, I feel like the DDA should be involved since we represent all of the businesses in town in some capacity. Is there, with the subcommittee you have going on, is there an opportunity for a DDA member to participate in that?
The preference is no from having to publicly notice it. They want to be able to just get the work done and not have to worry about noticing every time they get together. So the intention would be to kind of follow the OPR process and bring it back for your feedback probably in May, if you wanted to go that route. I just know Ron said Ron was interested in getting involved, and I don't know if that's just in the greater spectrum of the group, just giving feedback, or if there's something specific Ron wants to look into, like intermittently closing First Street and what that might look like, or whatever the suggestion would be, creating kind of a DDA subcommittee of sorts that worked on other tasks separate from what the Planning Commission is doing.
Just speaking for myself, I'm really interested in this because I see it as a major problem for the town and an ongoing problem. So, I mean, if there's any way to be involved, I'm also happy to do that. I also just wanted to mention that there were some really interesting comments among all these other comments from town folks and businesses, such as closing First Street. I think that's sort of ties in with parking, but that's an interesting thing that came out of this survey. And also many people mentioned, a central business garage. And I know that's a huge thing and, very different thing than Nederland has ever had. But I was surprised and kind of taken by how many different people were mentioning something like that. Where if we did have one spot in town where could park a majority of cars, and then people get out of their car and they walk around and do what they want to do. So, sorry, I'd forgotten to mention that at first.
Great, thanks, Steve. And I do feel like, is it possible, if it's not possible to get together on every meeting because of public noticing, is it possible to have a work session that the DDA could participate in, anybody that wanted to participate in, by public noticing it and kind of just sitting down and mulling it over together, since it does affect all of us as businesses?
I'll talk with Jim Reese and Linda Glasser and see how they feel, and then I can reconnect with the group.
Okay, great, thank you. If no one else has... Yep.
I have a question. When is the planning board going to discuss parking if they're involved? Anytime soon?
It's a subcommittee. The subcommittee is meeting weekly for the next 6 weeks, but it's just 2 of them. And then the intention was to create a proposal that would actually become before all the other boards and commissions before it ever came back before the Planning Commission. And so their goal would be to have an initial proposal to run by the DDA in time for your May meeting.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Don't know if anybody from the public is on, but do we have any public comments? Hearing and seeing none, I would ask if there is any other business this evening. Not seeing or hearing any, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Kate, do you want to call a roll on that? Do we need to call a roll on that?
No. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Night.
Thank you.
Right.
Bye, thanks you guys.